What is up, everybody? Today we are going to be talking about comeback mechanics and my list of them. I've seen a couple people talk about it on Twitter. I don't know if that came from something. It might have come from a Tweak Talk, so I apologize if this is kind of going on their content. But I did want to list in order what I think the best comeback mechanics are. But first I have to obviously talk about what a comeback mechanic is. Coming back in general isn't a comeback mechanic. If your character is good at edgeguarding, that's not a comeback mechanic. If your character is really good at hunkering down and making camping until you get a comeback, that's also not a comeback mechanic. A comeback mechanic is specifically something that your character gets that is an advantage when you are losing, and it is designed specifically to come when you are losing, when you get hit. I think my definition of that's going to be a little bit more broad than some other characters, or than some other people's, because I've seen lists of like Go, One Winged Angel, Arson, and like Diamond, but there's a couple more than that, which is Little Max KO Punch, Aura, as well as Limit, which I think all those are comeback mechanics because you get them while you get hit. So I do want to rank all of those, but before that, of course, don't forget to subscribe to the channel. Did you know most of the people that watch my videos aren't subscribed? So subscribe. Make the ratio better, turn the button from red to gray. You know how it goes. So first off, what I will call the worst comeback mechanic is KO Punch. One of the big things, of course, about KO Punch is the fact that you can lose it really easily. Because if you get put into tumble, you lose it. Whereas every other comeback mechanic, there needs to be a lot more that happens in order for you to lose the mechanic. So it's kind of, it's good. If it hits, obviously it kills at like 30, you can combo into it. But it's a little not useful enough because Little Mac just doesn't have ways to not get hit except like completely outplay your opponent super hard, even though you can't jump, so it has to be with ground movement. But if you have a good projectile, a really good burst option that's not really punishable, like let's say Quick Attack, it becomes really, really hard to land KO Punch or even maintain KO Punch. Sometimes you get KO Punch, and then of course there's a little bit of time where you can't get hit, or rather it doesn't get knocked out. But let's say you get thrown off stage and you get ding ding, and now you're getting ledge trapped, and you get ledge trapped, and then suddenly you lose KO Punch because you got ledge trapped a little bit too long, and then you die because you're Little Mac and you're off stage. It's really easy to die with KO Punch, it's really easy to get KO Punch knocked out of you, and it's super punishable. And it's not just like, it's a move more so than a mechanic, but it's kind of, you get hit for it, and I was talking with my chat earlier, and they kind of determined that this was a comeback mechanic, so I included it, but it is the worst one. The second worst one, in my opinion, is going to be Limit with Cloud. So Limit, it runs out in 15 seconds. It's easy to camp this. It's easy, there's a lot of times where you get hit off stage, get Limit, and then you have to use it to recover because you have to use the up B. So there's a lot of situations where you don't actually get to use Limit, but otherwise it's very good. It obviously has stat increases like mobility and fall speed and stuff like that, although fall speed could be a nerf depending on the combos. It also doesn't really increase your damage output other than, of course, the specific moves that get buffed, like Cross Slash is better and up B is better and stuff like that, and you get more access to kill moves. But also, Cloud doesn't really struggle to kill at this point anyway, and honestly, Up Smash and Dash Attack are kind of better kill moves than Limit Cross Slash for the most part from what I've noticed. Like, Blade Beam seems to be the most useful in this game because it can hit ledge and it can two-frame, which is pretty good, and especially Cloud can like scare people to stay on the ledge for too long and then Blade Beam, and then if they're expecting Blade Beam and they roll in, then you Cross Slash or Finishing Touch them. Finishing Touch, if it was a little better, maybe would be, like Limit would be a better comeback mechanic, but overall, I think that being able to get camped out of it, being able to get hit out like into disadvantage and then have to use it to recover is kind of bad, but you do get a much better up B, and better specials in general, so it could be better than the next one on the list, but I definitely still think it's one of the worst ones. For the third worst comeback mechanic, it's Aura, because also you have to think of it in the context of the game. As I mentioned with Lucario in my tier list, which by the way, if you haven't seen my tier list, it'll be in the up right corner over there. He, first off, can get camped at low percents and he doesn't get Aura. Second off, there are so many characters in this game that just dump out kill moves and just have a bunch of kill confirms. It's really, really difficult for Lucario to maintain Aura against most relevant characters in this game, even most mid-tier characters in this game, because they have good edge guarding, they have good kill confirms, they're just strong in general. So it's really hard to maintain, like, I'm at 130%, 140%, like, that doesn't really happen too often, so you're not going to get the effects of max Aura very often. However, every single stock, you will get the effects of minimum Aura, which is literally making your character worse. It has negative multipliers, like, I think the weakest one is like 0.8 multiplier, which is so dumb in my opinion, or they made his move so bad. But as far as I'm aware, like, it feels to me like it's a negative multiplier, or I guess like less than 1 multiplier. I might be a little wrong on that, but it just feels really, really bad. And the fact that, of course, he gets ridiculous when he has max Aura, because things kill at 40, and Aura Sphere is really good, and Forward Smash kills Dummy early, and his recovery gets way better, but I feel like the negative of, if people, again, actually played correctly against Lucario, it's take first stock. You're going to be second stock with some aura and camp because you're not going to die, because Lucario doesn't really have a lot of kill potential with low aura other than like forward smash or sometimes back air, but even then it's not really that strong. Like, it'll kill Pikachu at the ledge at like 125, and that's not a good kill move because Pikachu's light. So it's one of those things that's just like, you have to really be relying on either your opponent messing up a good matchup or people not camping you out in order to actually get aura. Because even though aura by itself, like in a bubble on even like a heavier character, would be broken, but Lucario does not get a lot of access to it, and especially in a game like Smash Ultimate, and he doesn't really get like 50-50s like from throws, which, so all the shield's really good against it. Of course, you have to be worried then about like aura sphere charge into your shield into stuff, but I feel like it's just hard, and Lucario's not exactly mobile enough to really get a lot off of it in this game, and again, you will be dying more consistently because there are so many kill confirms in this game. So now we're in the top 4, unless I completely missed one, because I'm just going to mention this. Waft is not a comeback mechanic, it's just a move that takes a long time, but you can get Waft from winning strictly, you can get Waft from camping, so it's not a comeback mechanic. It is used often as a comeback mechanic, or like a win, but it can also be a win more. It's not really a comeback mechanic in general, so I didn't want to include it, but I do want to touch on it, because otherwise there will be a ton of comments about it. Wario's Waft is not a comeback mechanic, it's just a dumb move. So the 4th best, which this is generally actually the main 4 that people talk about, which I guess is why, because the other 3 aren't super as relevant. The worst one's going to be Terry. I think Go is a good mechanic, don't get me wrong. I think it is very strong. Obviously getting access to Buster Wolf and Power Geyser are really, really good. Those moves are incredible. It makes his kill potential better. It makes covering jumps better. He has shield break setups. He does a ton of damage now. But at the same time, it is only activated at 100+, and he doesn't get any other benefits from it. I mean, again, the shield breaking is actually pretty important, because like up tilt Power Geyser is really, really dumb. But Terry still has exactly the same flaws when he has these moves as when he doesn't. If he gets hit in the air, his disadvantage isn't super great. He can be edge guarded. His neutral, in terms of dealing with projectiles and zoners, is still pretty rough, and it doesn't really get better with Buster Wolf, although, I mean, you can't like burst range through some projectiles, but generally that's very, very difficult and not going to happen too often unless it's very obvious. Even though I got Buster Wolf for T-jolting riddles, which my bad, I didn't know it was completely projectile invincible, apparently, but it's just not enough, because I feel like it doesn't make him safer on shield overall, except for, again, specifically up tilt Power Geyser. It doesn't change his stats, it doesn't change his weight, it doesn't change his fall speed, so he's basically the same character with slightly better damage output and definitely better killing, and while better killing is good, it's just not going to be as good as the top 3, basically. Like, it's really good, but it's not as good as the top 3. The 3rd best comeback mechanic in the game is Steve Diamond. So this kind of maybe not a comeback mechanic, it's also kind of a win more situation, kind of like Wario, but a lot of times when Steve does get Diamond, it's because he's like mining and then someone got aggressive and then he killed them for it, and then he gets it because someone died, or you just like save it for a stock, you're down, and then you get Diamond. So it's kind of maybe not exactly a comeback mechanic, but people definitely group it in with it, so I wanted to talk about it. Diamond is incredible. He gets super strong moves with Diamond forward smash, back air. His combos do so much damage. They're very still simple, like with like jab forward airs and stuff like that. He gets obviously Diamond forward air, which is incredible. His safety on shield gets way better. Again, he doesn't get mobility necessarily, but his safety on shield, his pressure, his killing, his damage output all get better with Diamond. And Diamond lasts really, really long. Like, it's a long tool. It's the longest tool, I'm pretty sure, of his entire arsenal. So he really gets a lot of access to it. So 1 diamond can easily come back 2 stocks. Like, every single hit means more. His ledge trapping gets better because back air will kill you at like 80 at the ledge. His combos get better. His neutral gets better because, again, having something, especially already with like up tilt, which is a very good and safe move, having diamond up tilt be safer is incredible. It's so good. It just, everything becomes harder to deal with. You get less sure on your out of shield punishes. The spacing can matter a lot more because if he ever jukes you out, Diamond forward smash will kill you from center stage at like 80. It's so strong. It's so good. Diamond is really, really good. Again, the only reason it's not top 2 is because the top 2 are absolutely ridiculous. Because in theory, Steve doesn't get new moves. He doesn't get stat increases. And he doesn't get like suddenly broken counters and stuff like that, which we'll get to right now. The second best comeback mechanic, and this is a highly debated topic, and this is just my opinion, of course. There are good points on both sides, but I think the second best comeback mechanic is Sephiroth, or One-Winged Angel. One-Winged Angel is ridiculous. 1.3 times damage output, an extra jump for disadvantage, so it actually makes his disadvantage better, which is something that the other comeback mechanics, except for I think Lucario's, don't actually do. It's incredible. It makes, because of the 1.3 times damage, his shield safety gets higher, his kill potential gets higher, his combos get better, the extra double jump allows him to get way different edge guards, way different recoveries, way different pressure, way different disadvantage. It's really, really good. And again, speaking about it, just like, wow, that just must be better than Arsene. Which is the number 1, by the way, in case you forgot. But One-Winged Angel, unfortunately, has to proc at higher percentages, so if you are both in a last stock situation, and again, you get like an early edge guard, because Sephiroth is sometimes susceptible to edge guards, or you get like a long offstage string, like I'm biased maybe because I have like Pikachu up air bridges, which can kill Sephiroth before he even gets wing, then you're not going to be able to do that, whereas Joker, generally like one combo will get him into Arsene last stock, because he gets the extra 1/3 boost when he dies, which is so dumb. Obviously, Sephiroth's One Wing also disappears more frequently when he loses a stock, but at the same time, he can't lose it when he, like, if he just has it, and it's like last stock situation, he's going to keep it for the entire stock, which is incredible. Again, he gets faster, his fall speed changes, everything about him gets better, his counter becomes absolutely ridiculous, it becomes the best counter in the game, maybe, except, I guess it still doesn't hit behind him, but the counter becomes ridiculous. It is so good. Again, the better disadvantage is one thing that I definitely could understand making it better than Arsene, but I just think it's very slightly worse, just because it might honestly just be because of base Joker, and like the fact that Joker can use his down B to get Arsene, which Sephiroth cannot. It's literally only a % thing. Granted, he also gets super armor on a smash attack, which is kind of ridiculous, and then of course the more damage means that down smash makes shields pop really hard. It's broken, don't get me wrong, like, One-Wing Sephiroth is terrifying, one of those scariest characters in the game, but I do think it is slightly worse than the number 1 comeback mechanic, which is Joker's Arsene. So Joker's Arsene makes his projectiles better, which is something that I feel like is very important that Sephiroths do not get better. I guess I don't know if they actually get the damage increase, but it just doesn't matter as much, whereas Gun and Aegon become ridiculous. Of course, he gets really high damage output, he has downer into up smash, which is probably the best kill confirm in the entire game. It's universal also. He gets more kill potential on everything. He gets safer on shield with a lot of moves, like forward tilt becomes -9, his forward smash gets safer, his back air is actually still -5, I think his aerial stay the same safety, he gets an extra hit on his nair, he gets an invincible recovery, granted it's very easy to mess with if he has to go low, which is the main negative, honestly, of him over Sephiroth, but the reason I put it above Sephiroth is because he can get 2 Arsenes in one stock. There have been so many games where Leo is on last stock, gets his first Arsene and kills someone, loses Arsene, and then gets it back because he did a 1 Rebels Guard, or he lived until 130, he gets a second Arsene, and then wins with that second Arsene, and that is the only comeback mechanic in the game that you can get multiple of your comeback mechanic, which is ridiculous. It's like, you can camp it, you can deal with it. Again, similar to what I said about Little Mac, there are some times when you get the comeback mechanic in Arsene and you die because of it, because his recovery does get worse. His tether recovery is objectively harder to deal with than his up B, I forget what it's called, when he has Arsene. I think it's just Fly, it might just be called Fly, whatever it's called. It becomes easier to deal with, like objectively, like 100%. But at the same time, having access to it twice, gaining a spike, your back air becomes ridiculous. I feel like as a base, Joker is just really, really good, so he doesn't even need stat increases because he's already one of the hardest characters to hit. He's still really good at whiff punishing. He has great projectiles now because Gun and Aegon, as I mentioned already, Gun and Ahab become better Gun and Aegon, which are so good. It increases his damage output, it increases his kill potential, it increases his combo potential, and it increases the amount of kill confirms he has. It's so good, and I feel like it is always an ever-present worry, and because he has Rebels Guard, it means that you can get Arsene 2, even 3 times a stock if you're playing really, really well. So that is the main reason, honestly, I put it over One Wing, because like, if Sephiroth is losing and then gets One Wing on his last stock and then he loses his One Wing, he's never gonna get it again, whereas you can always get Arsene. There's never a time in a game where you're like, oh, you will not get Arsene until it says game, and that is not the case for any other, like, for anything else. So, it's scary. It's really, really scary. Like, you can camp it, sure, but it's difficult, and again, Joker's still really good even without it, so it's not like, it's like, oh, you lost Arsene, time to deal with, still a top tier / very high tier character, with like the best mobility in the game, and he's just so good, and Arsene is definitely a big reason for that. But let me know in the comments below if you agree or disagree. Again, I can completely understand if you think One Wing is better than Arsene because the extra jump, better disadvantage, he actually gains stat increases, but I just think Arsene is absolutely ridiculous, and it is one of the reasons why MKLeo is the monster he is offline. Yeah, I hope you enjoyed the video. Let me know what else and what other topics you want me to talk about, and I will see you all next time. Goodbye.